Hey everybody, it's John Schumacher here with NewWaveHealthcare.com, and today I'm joined by a special guest. It's Ryan Beckland, who's the CEO of Validic, which is an industry leader in the healthcare industry for providing access to patient-generated data from mobile health devices, clinical devices, wearables, fitness equipment, and all sorts of different areas where you can get patient-related data. So Ryan's got some really exciting news to share with us today on this interview. So Ryan, thank you so much for joining me. Let's just have you start off by sharing a little bit about you personally, and then we'll jump into your business.
Yeah, sure. A little about me personally. So Validic is actually my fourth company. I've been an entrepreneur for basically my whole career. Although this is my first tech company that I've been in. So I started the company back in 2010. Originally, we were building a health engagement platform for weight loss. I recruited my buddy from college, Drew Schiller, who's our CTO, my co-founder, to build. So basically, the way I did it is I went out and sold a system to a bunch of people, and then I was like, oh crap, now I got to have somebody actually build the thing that I sold to them. So I recruited Drew to do that. And you know what happened is over several years we sort of realized that the product that we had built was really too narrow for the market we were trying to go after. And one of the ways that we're going to expand our corporate wellness offering was by integrating a bunch of third-party data sources. And you know, we had, of course, read Steve Blank's work and stuff, so we knew that the mistakes we made early on were, you know, we weren't going to repeat them. And we heavily engaged customers in feedback through the process. And really what emerged as the idea that people cared about was just getting access to data from all these disparate devices. Well, we had built this whole system that grabbed data from a bunch of different things. Of course, we were going to take that data, do analysis and health engagement and assessment programs and blah, blah, blah. But finally, I was sitting with a customer, a potential customer, and he's doing this thing where I'm telling him, you know, we have, you know, assessments and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, but you're saying that you can take the data from all these apps and devices and deliver it to my database? And I said, yeah, you know, and then we have assessment programs and incentive programs and yada, yada, yada. And then 10 minutes later, he's like, yeah, but the data, like I get it, I can put it in my portal and display it however I want, right? So I'm talking to him about health engagement. He's talking to me about data. And so I heard that enough times because, you know, we're not that smart. So we had to hear it a lot of times before we finally were like, wait a second, what if we just got rid of everything else we were doing and gave you, customer, a single integration point to our API that gave you access to all these different sources? And that was kind of the original germ of the idea. I mean, at the time, this was about almost 2 years now. At the time, you know, we had no idea like what the market was for this, how much demand there was. We're certainly experiencing the problem of building, maintaining integrations, but we didn't know that anybody else cared about that, right? And so, you know, we came up with the name Validic for the integration platform. We released it as a separate product. This is about first quarter of 13, so about a year ago. And that's where, you know, we had just released a product as a test. We had no idea what the demand was going to be. And we just started signing up customers right and left. And it's pretty much been like that since. So today we touch let's see, we touch 72 million lives. We're in 7 countries. And we work with the largest healthcare organizations in the world. You know, organizations that have tens of millions of lives under management, the bellwether institutions in the industry. And, you know, I got to be honest, like, you know, we sit back sometimes and we're as shocked as anybody that, you know, things have happened the way that they have, and here we are. So it's been a quite fun journey. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You found success, man. You found a need that people needed, and they let you know that, and now here you are a year later, just
here we are. Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's awesome. So speaking of Validic then, and for our viewers who aren't familiar with your company, can you boil it down for our viewers and really put it on a platter for us and tell us kind of what you guys are really doing there?
Yeah, sure. So Validic is so fundamentally what we do is we connect mobile health data sources, so patient-generated data sources. These are both apps and devices. We connect those data sources back to the healthcare system. So we are infrastructure, right? We operate behind the scenes, connecting databases together. And we currently support just about 160 devices. And we provide our customers an API connection to us that gives them access to all those, right? And so the main value propositions are very straightforward, right? Like without Validic, they would have to go build and maintain API connections to 160 different things. But with Validic, right, they only have to support one connection to us, and we do that for them, right? Without Validic, they'd have to build an architecture that can support, millions of concurrent API calls every minute of the day to get real-time data back into their system, right? With Validic, they don't have to do that. We handle all that for them, right? Without Validic, they'd have to worry about all these apps and devices that are going to go out of business in 18 months and which ones are the right apps and devices for their platform, because there's a large technical overhead for each integration that they build, right? With Validic, they don't have to do that. We go build and maintain the integrations for them, and through their single API connection that they already built one time, right, we deliver the data through everything new that we build. The net of it, right, is that they connect to us one time through our API. We can go build, we standardize and normalize data in such a way that we can go build 1,000 connections to 1,000 different blood pressure monitors, and they don't have to do any more work, right? And that's what they like, and that's what they need. So
right.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. All right. So basically, you make it easier and more convenient for these companies to not have to do all that infrastructure work themselves. They just plug into you. You guys take care of that, and voila, they get all of that taken care of in one neat little package. You guys are almost like not directly, but sort of like the Evernote of healthcare, where everybody loves you. Everybody loves using you guys, and
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you guys might be different. I mean, are there other companies in your space? Are you guys the primary leader in that space? Can you talk about what makes you guys different?
Yeah, we're fortunate, right, in some ways, in that we're in a very sort of nascent space that's growing really quickly, right? And so we're able to get in at a time, deploy our product and everything at a time when there really was very few competitors. There's a couple more now, but we really only have one serious competitor, which is Qualcomm 2Net. Mm-hmm. I mean, and they're only loosely a competitor, right? So they have a different type of technology stack. We need to go into all the details. They have a different type of technology stack, and they do things, somewhat differently than we do, and they focus on different things. And so a lot of the time, we actually complement 2Net. More than compete with them, right? And that's just where we are in the market today. So,
cool.
What really differentiates us, I think, is breadth of the integration portfolio. Certainly, the number of lives that we have connected. We have roughly about 15 app and device manufacturers coming to us each month, so inbound requests to connect to our API and push data to us, which is great. So I think we're in a great spot, and we're out ahead of sort of other people in the industry, and we have a little bit of a head start. So we've been fortunate in that way. Yeah.
It's a good feeling, a good place to be then. So people often learn best by like examples and stories. So can you share with us like a case study or a story that kind of illustrates the key benefits of what you guys provide?
Sure. Yeah. So I'll give you a really good one. So we work with a hospital system here in Northern California, or where are we in California? The Bay Area, I guess.
Yeah, Bay Area.
We're based in Durham, North Carolina. California is just all one thing to me. So, but we work with a hospital system here in the Bay Area that's throughout California, and one of their initiatives is they're trying to figure out how to move care outside of the context of the hospital, because frankly, they have too many patients to service, and so when you think about the changes in the healthcare industry in a broader context, right? So I'm going to give you a little context, and I'll answer your question. What we've done through the PPACA legislation, one of the main things we've done is we've dumped essentially 30 million new patients into the system, and we've said to the provider, look, you have to not only service more patients, but you have to service them at better outcomes and a lower cost, right? And so I didn't go to the Wharton School of Business, but it doesn't take that much to understand that probably doesn't work. You can't both increase demand on the system, force them to improve outcomes, improve quality, right, and lower cost all at the same time. Like, those three things don't go together. So in order to deal with the legislative imperatives that are underlying a lot of the shifts in the system, hospitals are thinking more and more about, hey, how do I provide care both at better outcomes and at a lower cost? And the only way really to do that is through the use of technology. So they're taking they have a very serious incentive today, which they never had before, because hospitals traditionally haven't gotten paid unless somebody comes in, right? So they never had the business incentive to figure out how to provide care outside of the hospital. Well, now they do. So what some of our customers are doing, and one in particular, is they're saying, look, we want to take a group of hypertensive patients. We're going to pick 15,000 of them. And we're going to try to figure out a model where we can manage their hypertension to help them avoid a negative health event, right? A particularly expensive negative heart event, which is a heart. So what they're doing is they're deploying throughout the next year. They'll be deploying 15,000 Validic connected blood pressure monitors to the hypertensive population, along with weight scales and so weight scale, blood pressure, and then a couple other of apps. So Validic's is servicing all the data flow back from the devices back to the hospital. And then they have a team of practitioners on the other side receiving the data. They built an analytics engine that can take the data and figure out what it means, and then create the appropriate intervention from the provider side to help reduce that patient's likelihood of readmittance, right? So they're essentially providing better care, right? But they're providing it in a way where the patient doesn't actually come back into the hospital to see a doctor, because that's really expensive. So that's one really clear example, right? And so what we provide to them in that instance is we provide them the ability to have a robust set of integrations, right? And spin up a lot of different types of projects without incurring a bunch of technical overhead for every one of the projects that they want to do. We just charge them a flat rate for access to the Validic network, and they can use whatever from our portfolio of integrations that they need. So
perfect. All right, thanks for sharing. And so, how does the acquisition of Infometers really accelerate this whole process and the whole ecosystem for yourself?
Yeah, good question. So we just announced this earlier this week, and we're incredibly excited about the Infometers acquisition. So traditionally, what Validic has done is API connections, which are server side, right? So the data goes from a device, say an Omron blood pressure monitor, to a hub, so an app, Omron app on your phone. That app sends the data to a server, and Validic is connected to that server. So we're able to grab the data off the server, and then we work some magic on it. We send it back to the customer, who's the hospital system. Well, Infometers, so that has been our strategy. Infometers' strategy has been to build a direct-to-device integration. So they have an SDK, essentially an app, that can grab data through an SDK connection directly from the device. So their app grabs data from the device and then sends it to Validic, right? So that's the difference, is that we've been relying on the device manufacturer to build an app in order to suck data off the device and send it to us, right? Infometers is able to grab data directly from devices. So what that allows us to do is quickly expand our portfolio of integrations, including more clinical devices, which is what our customer base is really wanting from us, and so that's why we did that acquisition. So what we acquired is all their technical assets, of course, we'll be sort of releasing a new version of the app soon, and then the entire team. So we acquired all the full-time employees on with us. So.
Perfect.
But and the other thing that we got is now a Silicon Valley presence, which we haven't traditionally had. Although all the major hospital systems in the Bay Area are Validic customers, but you know, a lot of the sort of smaller companies, the earlier stage companies who we love and want to work with, haven't really heard of us because we're not out here that much. So we opened the Mountain View office, which is actually where I'm sitting right now. You can see my fluorescent light shining on me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome to California. Yeah, that's great. Sounds exciting, and yeah, that'll definitely help your presence here in California. So that's awesome. Well, Ryan, thanks for coming on and sharing a bit about your company and what's going on with it. Let's just, if you'd like, just share a little bit about where our viewers here could find out more about you, and then we'll wrap things up.
Yeah. So. Best to do is to check us out at Validic.com. If you want to get involved in, so we have a couple different programs, right? So our customer is primary customer, typically large healthcare organizations, right? At the same time, you know, we work with tons of startups. We sponsor a whole bunch of health-focused accelerator programs. We sponsor hackathons, all kinds of stuff. We realize that many sort of earlier stage companies aren't going to be able to afford, you know, a high price tag like a Kaiser could afford, for example, for access to our system. So don't be afraid to reach out. We have programs for earlier stage companies. I mean, we're happy to work with companies at all stages and sizes. So there's a demo request form right there, and we get you in touch with a salesperson. Anybody can email me directly as well. It's Ryan, R-Y-A-N, at Validic.com. And I'll get you guys fixed up with the right person in the organization to get you spun up. So
perfect. All right, Ryan, thanks so much for coming on and sharing, and hope you all enjoyed that discussion. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher Radio, you can go over to newwavehealthcare.com/Ryan Beckland, or just go to the newwavehealthcare.com website, put Ryan into the search bar, and his show notes page will pop right up. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that discussion. We'll see you on the next one.